The Civil Rights Movement, a fight for justice and equality. The Civil Rights Movement was a powerful and historical effort in the United States during the 20th century to end racial segregation, discrimination, and injustice faced by African Americans. It was not just one event, but a coalition of protests, legal battles, and organized events that spanned decades, especially during the 1950s and 1960s. The movement's goal was to achieve true equality under the law and everyday life, especially in the South, where racial segregation was deeply rooted in its culture. Background and causes. The root of the civil rights movement traces back to the era of the Civil War, where the Reconstruction during the 1865 to 1877 was when formerly enslaved African Americans were briefly granted rights and protections. However, gains were actually reversed by the Jim Crow laws, where they enforced racial segregation in the South and denied African Americans their right to vote, equal education, and economic opportunities. In the early 1900s, the civil rights organization like the NAACP, founded in 1909, began legal efforts to challenge segregation. A major breakthrough during 1954 when the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus the Board of Education. Segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. This decision set the stage for the larger civil rights struggles. Here are some key figures for the actual movement. Martin Luther King Jr., as we know, is one of the most well-known faces of the movement. He led peaceful protests like the Montague bus boycott and the March on Washington. His nonviolent approach, inspired by Gandhi, helped achieve major legal challenges such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act in 1965, which I Have a Dream speech still remains as one of the most powerful speeches in American history. Or people like Rosa Parks, known as the mother of the civil rights movement, sparked a year-long boycott of buses in Montague after refusing to give up her seat to a white man. Her courage brought attention to his everyday actions of the resistance of the African Americans. The impact and legacy of the civil rights movement. It transformed America and ended the legal segregation and opened the doors for black political participation and inspired the social justice movements, including women's rights and LGBTQ rights. These racism and inequality still exist, and the courage of civil rights leaders made lasting progress possible. The movement also taught the power of unity and non-violence protest and grassroots actions. Many leaders like John Lewis continued to fight for justice after the decades. For example, in the 1960s, and the new greener generations included those in the movement like the BLM, Black Lives Matter protest, and that movement. In conclusion, the civil rights movement was one of the most important chapters in American history. Through marches, boycotts, and court cases, and unshakable courage, African Americans and their allies stood up for centuries of injustice. They fought not only for their civil rights, but for human dignity. The legacy of the struggle still lives on until this day. This change was only possible due to their willing of standing up against and speak out against what is right.